Hello and welcome to the Fisch Bowl. I'm your host, Sam Fish, and today I'll be interviewing actor Peter Jason. All right, we're good to go.
We're good to go.
Good to go.
I'm having my morning coffee out here in sunny Cal. Where are you?
I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it is an ugly day here.
No, come on. It's always beautiful in Pittsburgh. I went to school there.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Carnegie Tech. Well, in those days it was called Carnegie Institute of Technology. Today it's called Carnegie Mellon University.
I'm right by there. I'm in the Squirrel Hill area. I go to Point Park University right
I know
now.
Squirrel Hill.
Yeah, I'm right by Olderdice.
Yeah? Yeah, I lived on Forbes. I lived on Fifth. I lived on Ivy and Shady Side. I know the whole area.
That's fantastic.
Panther Hollow.
That's great. That's something I actually did not know. So it's great for my listeners. Another Pittsburgher.
You know Chatham?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we used to go sledding on trays down the hill at Chatham. That was fun.
When I was growing up, I went sled riding on in Frick Park.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I love that whole area. That was my first big city.
I really do like Pittsburgh a lot. I've been here pretty much my whole life.
Well, it's a beautiful town. And now I went to school there in the years that they were calling it the Renaissance City, and they were cleaning it up and trying to fix it up.
I was
born in Hollywood, but I came from a little town in south of L.A. called Newport Beach, Balboa, and it was a little tiny town. And so when I went to school in Pittsburgh, it was my first big city. I loved it. It was the first time I saw snow. I played football for the Carnegie Tech Tartans, we were called, and I played fullback and I punted. And I remember the first time I ever saw snow, the center snapped the ball back to me, and we were wearing these football shoes that are made out of kangaroo skin, and they turn into slime when they're wet and slushy. My first punt was 11 yards sideways off of my shoe. That was a shock. I went over the sidelines and put on my tennis shoes, and I kicked with my tennis shoes on from the rest of the game. I think we were playing Washington and Jefferson, or Franklin and Marshall, one of those teams.
Wow.
Near Lancaster, PA. So what's going on up there in Shady Side?
Well, I'm more the Squirrel Hill area, but I'm in Shady Side quite often. My sister's actually living more in that area right now, so I'm down there quite often.
Well, Squirrel Hill is right at the bottom of Squirrel Hill is Woodlawn Avenue. You know that street?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the little Woodlawn coffee shop there. I used to have breakfast there every morning. I lived just up Woodlawn at one of the dorms when I first moved there.
Wow, I know exactly where that is.
As I recall.
Yeah. I mean, stuff has changed a lot, but a lot of I think some restaurants and places are still there. You know, like I don't know if Pamela's was around when you were.
I don't know about that. I know about there were a couple of clubs in Shady Side. One was called the Casbah that I sang in a little side alley, and then what's the one Harold Betters played in? That was called the Encore, I think. And there was a great deli called the Gazebo in Shady Side. Is that still there?
I don't think that's still there.
Yeah, that was a famous place there. And we used to go to the Holiday, and we used to go to Holiday and I forget. That's a while ago. That was 50 years ago.
Right. Yeah, a lot.
I've been back a few times,
changed.
and I've seen how beautiful it is today. Though I went back. They built a new theater at Carnegie called the Parnell Theater.
Oh yeah.
And I went there with Carolyn McWilliams for the opening. We did love letters there to open the theater a few years back, and I saw how magnificent the campus was looking, and everything looked like it was really coming together in Pittsburgh. We went down and had that. I forget the name of that restaurant up on the hill where you look down on where the three rivers meet. Starts on the L. It's a famous tourist joint. And but the city looked spectacular that night. Anyway, Welcome to Pittsburgh. What's up, Sam?
All right. Well, I guess we can start getting into some of your film career here. I guess my first question is, what got you interested in film?
Well, let's see. How did I get interested in film? I guess going to the movies as a kid. I used to go every Saturday. In fact, one of my first jobs was sweeping out the Balboa Theater down in Balboa, California. And they gave me something like 10 cents an hour and 2 free tickets, which I would use to sell. and kids were a quarter and adults were 50 cents, and the ticket was the same. So I tried to sell it to adults and pick up $1. I'd make like $1.30 because it took me like 3 hours to sweep the theater out. I'd make about $1.30 a day with my paper route. I was a rich man in those days.
Hey,
I used to see all the everything that came out those days. I loved the Swashbucklers, the Errol Flynn movies, and I liked Spencer Tracy. I liked Clark Gable, Katharine Hepburn. Those were my heroes, I guess, early on. Gene Kelly was a favorite of mine. I loved. I was not a big Fred Astaire man. I was a Gene Kelly man. Fred Astaire was like too perfect, and Gene Kelly was like athletic and
right.
I don't know if you follow tennis, but if you do, there's Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal, the Spaniard, and there's 2 different styles. Fred Astaire is like Federer, and Gene Kelly was like Rafa Nadal, and I was always a Rafa Nadal fan.
Well, I guess my next question is, you've had such an extensive career. What got you involved with John Carpenter and basically being in like every one of his, excellent films?
Well, I met him about a third of the way through my career, actually. His wife, his second wife, was a girl called Sandy King Carpenter. She was a script supervisor on a movie I did called The Long Riders, directed by Walter Hill, starring the Keaches, the Carradines, and the Quaids, all the brothers playing brothers. I played the Pinkerton man, and I helped her out on that movie in a personal predicament that she had, and she never forgot it. And years later, she married John Carpenter. I think they met on Starman, and she told him she thought I was a wonderful actor, and so he started looking at some things that I'd done, and then he called me in for a meeting for Prince of Darkness. And he asked me, if I would take this script home and read it and tell me what I thought I should do with the character. And at that point in my career, I don't think anybody had ever asked me what I wanted to do with the character. They just kind of told me what to do with the character, and I did try to do it. But so I took the script home and I read it, and I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do with the character. So I called up my friend, actor David Warner, who'd done many vampire and sci-fi movies, and I said, "What do I want to do with this character?" And he read it, and he said, "It'd be great if you died violently, and said when you come back to life, if you came back in horrible pain," he said the audience would find you sympathetic, and they'd like you. And he said, "I've always wanted to do that in a movie." And I went, "What a great idea! Thank you." And so I took it, I reread it with that in mind, and all of a sudden, ideas started popping into my head, different ones, and I came up with like 3 or 4 ideas of my own. And then I called up Carpenter and set up the meeting again, and went and told him what I wanted to do, and he liked the David Warner idea, and he hired me. From then on, we became, he creates a family on his films. He uses a lot of the same people over and over. Same with the crew, and I think Walter Hill also does that, but I think he likes to create the family atmosphere on the movie, and we're all his kids. that's kind of what happened, and I joined the club, and I think I've done 8 or 9 movies with him since.
Which all have been excellent. I mean, like...
Well, thank you very much.
I mean, you know, I think Carpenter is probably my favorite horror sci-fi director, really, like, all time. And, you know, seeing a lot of his films growing up, I mean, they've been influential to me as a screenwriter, going to school for screenwriting. And great to hear that Carpenter, you know, like you said, him being a family-oriented kind of guy with creating the atmosphere around his actors and crew. It just makes it like that much cooler to hear. And, you know, as like a fan, you know, it's that much cooler.
I think it's old school. You know, I think he creates a world that he can run, you know, that he can be in charge of. He knows what to expect from his people. He knows how far he can push them, you know, and he knows when to kick them in the butt. And I think that's kind of disappeared in filmmaking today. I think the major corporations have kind of taken over, and you know, it seems to me anyway that a lot of times the studios or bean counters or whoever's in charge of it are calling the shots, and the director is just like taking orders.
Yeah.
And that's why guys like John Carpenter and Walter Hill and the great ones don't make as many movies because they're not allowed to be in charge anymore.
And
which is a shame.
It's a real shame.
Because they used to have a concept. They used to have a point of view. I think the studio's point of view is how much money can we make here?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
More of the business of the show business rather than you know, the creativity.
Right. It's how much money can we make? I mean,
which is important. I understand that, but it's not why we do it.
Right. But it takes away from the story.
Anybody who wanted to make money as an actor as a business would be an idiot, you know, because it's too difficult to do.
Right.
The rejection is 95% of the time you're getting it turned down. You know, what business has that kind of rejection?
Hopefully, you know, things will take a change in the future. You know, we can get back to doing more of like the originality in film versus how much money can we make off of, you know, like a crappy script.
Well, hopefully you start with the script.
Right. Well, that's why I'm going to school.
I think that's what John does. John doesn't even.
Yeah.
He doesn't even call people to the party until he's got what he wants down on paper.
Right.
He doesn't say, "Hey, let's make a movie," and starts calling people. You know.
Right. You know, I saw the new Jurassic Park movie, and I was incredibly disappointed with it.
Which one?
Jurassic World.
Yeah.
And there were so many different levels with like how bad that movie was, and yet,
but it's a lot of levels of how good it was too.
Yeah, there's that too.
I mean, it's a fun ride, you know.
Right. But
my wife and I went and saw it at the premiere, and we thought it was great. I mean, there's some terrible performances, and there's some unbelievable stuff happening, but that's in every movie.
Right.
You know, I don't think you can beat it up as much as you are.
No, I mean
the thing made $500 million on its first week.
I know. Like,
you know, so they must have been doing something right. Frank Marshall doesn't make mistakes like that.
Right. I mean, it was a fun ride. You know.
And look, you were in line to go see it right off the bat. You were probably one of the first people to see it. So
I saw
it
the
franchise.
Friday that it opened.
You can't negate a franchise because it's already a success.
Right.
But I'm talking about the new stuff. And also the franchises that are like ludicrous. You know, there's some terrible ones out there. I won't name names, but we all know what they are.
Oh yeah. I won't even go there. But I guess we can move on here a little bit with some of the other stuff you've done here. Let's talk about Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid and Max von Sydow.
Wow, the great one.
Yeah.
The great one. I only got to work with him once, and it was a definite treat. I got to kill him, as a matter of fact. I was surprised because I thought Max von Sydow, he's going to be 85 years old. He's going to be thin and frail, and I'll probably have to carry him through the scene. And first thing that happened was when he walks up to me and introduces me, he grabs my hand with this huge paw of his and just wrapped my little hand right up in it and like lifted me off the ground practically. I mean, he was so robust and full of life, and he's just a big, beautiful, strong Swede, and I fell in love with the guy. I only got to work with him for 2 weeks, but man, it was a time I'll never forget.
That film is one of my favorite films from the 80s. I mean, like you had
Dreamscape.
You had the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
But Dreamscape was like that sci-fi aspect of what.
Yeah, it was kind of a sci-fi, political, futuristic sci-fi, but it was steeped in truth, except for the part where the fantasy happened.
Right.
Inside someone's brain, but I don't think we're that far from that. To tell you the truth. So it was steeped in truth.
I mean, it's always been my opinion that like sci-fi kind of predicts the future.
Oh, that's probably not too far off. That was a fun movie to work on, though, and of course Dennis Quaid is always a blast. He's one of my pals, and he's one of my favorite actors in Hollywood.
Mine too. I mean, since Dreamscape, I grew up like loving the guy.
Yeah.
I had to watch like whatever he was in. Like, I mean, Enemy Mine is also one of my favorite films from.
Oh yeah, that's great.
The 80s with him in it.
I remember when he went off to Spain to do that. He went off at age 29 and he finished it at age 31.
That's really interesting. That's like films like that aren't done anymore either.
Well, that's an expensive movie. Yeah, that was a big movie, and I think they had to stop in the middle of it and come back and for a time of, I don't know, for the location or something. But I know he was 29 when he started it, and he was 31 when he finished it.
Wow, that's really interesting.
That's the German director, right? The guy who directed U-Boat or whatever it's called, right? Wolfgang Peterson.
Yes, I believe that is. I believe that is.
Yeah. I always found him to be a very interesting director as well. Now, there's some great directors out there that I'd love to work with. The guy, the Russian director that directed Burnt by the Sun. He also directed a movie called I forget the name of the movie, but he's definitely one I would love to work with. There's a Icelandic director who directed Children of Nature. I'd love to work with him. Jacobo Morales is a Puerto Rican director who directed a movie called Linda Sarah. Definitely a director I'd love to work for. I worked with Diego Luna in a film called Chavez, and I think it might have been his first directorial, but I loved working with him.
Wow.
I'd like to get a chance to work with him again. Had a ball. I got to work with Rosario Dawson on that movie, and she was fantastic to work with.
She's one of my favorite actresses that's out there right now.
She's really fun. We've done a webisode series before that. I forget the name of it right now, but she was the star of it, and I played the general. And but she's something. She's got a great sense of humor, really fun to be around, and she's got a great energy. She and Minnie Driver, two of my favorite actresses that I've worked with, that their energy is so positive and so approachable and easy to be around and great to work with, help create the family. They don't become divas and push everyone away. They kind of open up and help create the family. And the whole deal is trying to make that family happen. You make that family happen, you got a shot at making the movie happen. I think if the family doesn't click, the movies, it's pretty hard to make
right.
the chemistry. It's hard to invent the chemistry.
Right, right. I mean, it really is the key to making everything look real with, the actors. I mean,
Yeah,
like you
telling the
could,
story and and, and, and,
yeah,
and and making it believable and going with it is it's not easy to do. You break that little thin golden line that runs through it, that thread that runs through it. You break that, and you're out of the movie.
right,
And it's
right,
hard to get back in the movie. So, and it can happen in any level. The mic's in the shot. It takes you right out of the movie. The
right.
period piece, and the guy's wearing a wristwatch takes you right out of the movie. The guy has the gun in his hand, but he didn't have it in his holster when they walked in. Takes you right out of the movie.
Right, right. I mean, it can be little things like that.
Little
that
things.
just,
The coffee cup was in his right hand when he entered the door, and when he came in on the other side, it was in his left. When did he change it?
right. Absolutely. I mean,
Continuity is so important.
It really
Everything's
is.
important. All the jobs are important. Leave one of them out, and the believability factor is gone. So you need people who are paying attention. And to pay attention, you have to want to be there. You have to love what you're doing. And that's why I like Carpenter, Walter Hill, Frank Marshall. These guys love being there. And they make you love being there with them.
Exactly, and that's why they're great filmmakers, and their films just are timeless. And I could show my kids 20 years from now, like all these movies.
The ones that hold up, yeah.
Right, and it would be just as influential to them and as cool, and they'd get a kick out of it, just like I got a kick out of it when my dad was showing me all this stuff.
Right.
So. It's just that's the brilliance of movies. Like they really are, the great ones really are timeless and never lose their value.
So what are some of your favorites?
I have so many. So many Carpenters are my favorite. I'm a huge Schwarzenegger fan. I mean, I love anything Schwarzenegger's in. I'm a huge...
Like what?
I mean, Predator is one of my favorite films of all time. Total Recall. I mean, like when I was born in '88, and when I was 3 years old, I started asking my dad...
I got you by 44.
I mean, I started asking...
I was born in 44.
I started asking my dad at age 3 to let me watch Total Recall on VHS. And it wasn't until my 6th birthday that he was like, "All right, I'll let you watch it." And I'm a huge also Wes Craven fan. Clive Barker is also one of my favorite horror franchise guys, as an author as well. I really like Stuart Gordon and Brian Usna, like the whole Reanimator series, Society, and I really like Society a lot because that reminds me a lot of They Live. Like it's a similar concept, and those are probably two of like my absolute favorite films from the '80s, and. I mean, it like They Live just would explain so much with like what's going on right now in the world. Just it would make perfect sense. And
what's going on right now is a sci-fi movie.
It really is. But I have so many favorite movies out there. Again, like I'm a huge Kurt Russell fan. The whole Snake.
What kind of fan?
Kurt Russell.
Oh, Kurt, he's the greatest. Great kid. He played my little brother on a Daniel Boone 50 years ago, 40 years ago.
Kurt, I mean, the whole Snake.
Remember the Daniel Boone TV series? No,
absolutely.
It's before your time. Oh, you remember it?
Yeah, I watched that on Netflix.
Oh, he played my little brother. That was a gas. That was the first time we met, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And then he came up to the set, and the next time I met him, he came into the set of Village of the Damned, who were shooting up in Marin County. And he flew himself up to see John to talk about a project. They've been talking about doing a remake of Only Angels Have Wings, the Howard Hawks movie.
Uh-huh.
And because both of them fly, and both of them like to fly, and they were thinking about making them about helicopters, which is a great idea. And that's one of the reasons John hired me, I think, was because one of Hawks's last film was my first film, Rio Lobo. I died in John Wayne's arms in that movie, and John Carpenter is an expert on Howard Hawks, and he told me that my scene in Rio Lobo, where I die in John Wayne's arms, is exactly word for word, shot for shot, the same scene that Cary Grant and Thomas Mitchell have in Only Angels Have Wings.
Wow.
And when Cary Grant says to Thomas Mitchell, "Well, your neck's broke, kid," and when John Wayne says to me, "Oh, your neck's broke, kid," it's the same scene, same line, same everything, from the beginning of his career to the end of his career. So it was kind of a bookmark thing, and Carpenter noticed, and that was one of the reasons he was interested in hiring me originally.
That's really interesting. Wow. And John Wayne, like, you know, what an amazing actor that guy was.
The Duke?
The Duke.
He was the king. He was the king. I think he was on the I think the New Yorker had a poll every year. It was either the New Yorker or Time magazine, but I think it was the Time. It might have been Time magazine. Where every year they asked for the top 10 movie stars in America, and he was number one, like 23 out of 25 years.
Yeah. I mean, the first, like.
And he was in the top 10 all 25 years.
Yeah. I mean, he was really like the first, like, legit, like, action star.
Gigantic star.
Just gigantic star. The first, like, real, you know, what you could consider like an absolute movie star.
Mega. Yeah.
Mega movie star, exactly.
Well, he was larger than life. I worked with him, and man, he had an aura. Well, he was something else. Well, we pretty much cover this here, Sam. Or you got any more questions?
Well, I guess we are about like 30 minutes, a little over 30 minutes in. So if you have some place to go, I can finish up here. I have a few closer questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. First, what's to come from Peter Jason? What should we expect in the future?
Well, I just finished a movie with the Coen brothers.
Oh, excellent.
Called Hail Caesar. It stars George Clooney and James Brolin, Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum. Should be quite a fun movie. It's about the movie studios in the early 50s. And I play the director of the Gladiator movie, Hail Caesar. And George is the star. So I get to work with him. Again, we'd done a pilot together many years ago. It was great reacquainting myself with him again. And I loved working with the Coen brothers, who are fantastic. You know, they talk about an easy set to be around. Both of them just get along so well. There's no egos on the set. Everybody was treated like like you're supposed to be. It was great.
The Coen brothers are another one of my absolute favorite like directors.
Oh, they don't miss. They don't miss.
Anything they do is absolutely great.
You know, and their sense of humor is fantastic. You just can't help laughing. When you watch Fargo, I mean, you just cannot help laughing. At the most violent scenes in the world, and the guy's sticking them in a wood chipper, and you're howling.
Right.
It's like Tony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. You know, this guy eats people, and he's having an old friend for dinner, and we're laughing.
Right.
Yeah, it's just bizarre, but it was a totally great experience working with them, and I love that. What's your next question?
All right, this is my last question, and that is, what would be your favorite movie
that I've seen or that I'm in?
Your personal taste. Out of all the movies you've seen in your lifetime, what would you say would be your favorite film?
Well, you probably haven't seen it. It's a French movie. It's called Sundays in Cibele, starring Hardy Kruger, German actor. But it's rentable, and it's called Sundays in Cibele. It's about a pilot who has amnesia and doesn't know who he is or anything, and he meets this young little girl in an orphanage, and they become pals. And it has quite a violent end, but to me, it's a great commentary on how people see things that aren't there, and put their own judgments on people and expectations. Anyway, that's probably my favorite movie of all time.
Fantastic.
My favorite movie that I've been in is my next movie, which we don't know what that is yet. You haven't written it yet, Sam, so get on it.
All right, I will.
I want to be heroic, and I want to die valiantly.
I think I got just the role for you.
Great. Get to cracking.
I will. It's pretty much almost written too. So.
Well, it's great chatting with you. I hope I get to meet you someday, and let me know when the interview's coming out.
Absolutely. It's great having you on the show, and if you can help spread the word of the Fisch Bowl, that would be great.